We're doing our first. Is this our first rom-com?
This is our first rom-com. This is our first full movie besides Lord of the Rings, which I'm going to say was a very narrow window into a movie trilogy.
Right. Yeah, and we kind of bounced around between all of the movies, and this will be our first start to finish discussing the entire film. And it's I suggested this, so I'm like, it's funny that we picked this. I picked it. I have to live with that.
I thought it was a really random pick until I started seeing your notes on it and realized you have a lot of thoughts and feelings. I don't remember you being that into this movie in high school.
Do you remember me being that into anything in high school?
High School Musical.
Oh, ew. Oh, my God. That's what you remember me being into? Yeah. Oh, my God. Do you know what's funny?
What?
I hate musicals. Cannot stand them. And that's the one thing you remember me liking in high school.
You loved it. Yeah.
It wasn't it was Zac Efron, I think.
Yeah,
and
no,
it was
that's really fair.
Having this like really approachable romance. It was a good rom-com for Disney Channel.
Yeah, absolutely. And it was a nice story overall.
Yeah. There are certain, so I guess I really don't like musicals in general, but that almost doesn't even feel like a musical, even though it's called High School Musical.
No.
It's the songs are so comedic.
It
doesn't even feel like
still
singing.
memed to this day.
Oh my gosh, they're just incredibly cringy.
Yes.
But I don't remember if I thought that it was funny back then or if I just really liked it. I don't know. Well, anyway, moving on. The movie we're discussing today is A Cinderella Story,
which Ashley really liked in high school, and I vaguely remember watching once.
Well, okay. I don't have a defense, but I do have a lot of thoughts. This movie came out in 2004. It was rated PG, very family friendly, okay? IMDb, it's sitting at 5.9 out of 10. Rotten Tomatoes, the audience score is 53%. The critic score is 11%.
I was dying laughing when I went to go rent this movie because it is not available on any streaming sites. You have to rent it. When I saw that 11%.
Harsh. The critic
harsh.
review that was chosen said an uninspired, generic updating of the classic fairy tale. Yeah, duh.
Yeah. Like, also disagree.
Get a real problem.
It wasn't generic. It was a perfect product of the exact year that it was made in. It is a time capsule.
It is a total time capsule, which I think makes it really enjoyable. Did you enjoy rewatching it?
I did enjoy rewatching it very much.
It's pretty fun. It's a pretty fun movie.
Mm-hmm.
But it's a retelling of the Cinderella story, so to be like, well, it's predictable. It's like, yeah, we know the story.
Yeah. Has there ever been a retelling of Cinderella where they've changed things? Like the major plot lines?
Probably, but I don't know about it. So
I don't want to watch it.
And obviously, most people are fine with it because they made six of these movies.
That is wild to me.
Yeah. I think have seen 4.
So did each of them follow the Cinderella plot lines?
I don't remember. It's okay. They must have. They must have, just with some other variation of what the Cinderella character wants. It's either to sing or to dance. In Hillary Duff's case, she just wanted to go to college, so that's kind of cool.
She just wanted to follow her punny dreams. She had to go her punny dreams. She had to go to Princeton because that's where princes and princesses go.
Yeah, everybody knows that, Sarah. What? Is that not a good enough reason to want to go to Princeton?
I'm so happy for her that she got into that incredibly exclusive school when that was her only reason for wanting to go.
Yeah. Yeah, that must have been a really good college essay. My dad told me it's where the princesses go, and they're like, all right, she's in.
Also props that both of them get to go to Princeton. Spoiler alert for the end of the movie, because putting my former college admissions counselor hat on, very exclusive schools very often do not admit students, more than one student from the same high school. So
now there's a little bit more interesting where only one of them could get in, and he's like, you know what, it means more to you. And then she's like, awesome, I love you, and also goodbye, I'm going to Princeton.
But then we wouldn't have been gifted the excellent line at the end where she's doing a voiceover of everything that happened, and then as her and Chad Michael Murray get in the car to drive away, presumably to Princeton, although I think they're on Highway 1 in California, she says, and then we lived happily ever after. For now, I'm only a freshman.
I like that caveat that she's like, to the end, I am not choosing a boy.
I like
he
that.
just happens to be coming with me.
Yeah.
I don't know how quick this plot summary is going to be. I tried to pare it down, but some of it I was like, I just want to talk about.
Good. There's so many good details is the problem.
It's the little details that actually have nothing to do with plot that I really enjoy about this movie, because there really isn't a whole lot of plot. But you just described the ending of the movie. The beginning of the movie. That's one way to, that's one way to do it. The beginning of the movie is pretty similar. So it's Hillary Duff talking, and she is giving us a tremendous info dump. Basically, she's like going through all of this stuff, talking about how great her life is, how much of a fairy tale it is to be living with her single dad, who's her best friend. And then it ends with her being like, this is not a fairy tale, though. Something like that. It's like, wait a second. Okay, it's called a Cinderella story, but whatever. So, said she's raised by her single dad. For some godforsaken reason, he's like, I want to just start dating this random lady with twins and then marry her, even though they allegedly had this perfect life. I don't know. It's a plot hole, but we don't care. We don't care.
Agreed.
The rando's name is Fiona, played by Jennifer Coolidge.
Who is
obsessed.
Probably the best part of the whole movie.
This movie would be not funny at all without her.
Yeah.
She is the only comedic part of this movie. It's a romantic comedy, right? It's supposed to be comedy. She's the only funny part.
Are we going to talk about the salmon?
We can. We can talk about it.
I just... So here's my recap. Fiona is obsessed with salmon throughout the movie, like eating salmon. She's always got some in her fridge, and like she wants the guy at the diner to cook salmon all the time. And it was like such a through line throughout this movie. And I kept being like, what am I missing? What deeper meaning does this have? What punchline are we going to get to at the end? And there's nothing that I could see. There must be theories on the internet about this. I tried looking it up. Like, what is with the salmon?
I love how I have just like pages of notes on this movie, and you just put at the bottom, what's up with the fish? Like, I don't know. I never thought about it, to be honest. I still don't know that I have the mental capacity to think about what's up with the salmon. I guess I just thought of it as like her being really high maintenance, and it being like, I don't know, just something that else for people to do, and like for her to demand. And salmon, I don't remember back at this time period, like early 2000, but that's kind of one of the like superfoods. So it's, she has, part of her character is like all of these like mashy, like she's like really into her looks, but I don't know. I felt like this like health conscious part where she's like, look, I'm healthy, I eat salmon, but that's it. That's like all she's doing. She's not exercising. She's getting Botox and tanning and all this other stuff, but she's like, but I eat salmon, so I'm healthy.
I feel as though you are bringing an art history lens to this movie. Like, you cannot truly understand the art unless you understand the time period in which it was made. So thank you.
That's beautiful. What I was doing. That's totally what I was doing. I'm very sophisticated.
You are welcome to continue your recap. I'm so sorry that I really needed to go on that tangent. That was important to me.
I mean, that's it. So basically, you're done talking for the rest of the episode. We talked about the salmon. You don't have any other thoughts. So, okay. So Fiona, she is the stand-in for the evil stepmother of the Cinderella story. We also establish in this first 5 minutes that Sam, who's Hillary Duff's character, if we didn't say that already, she wants to go to Princeton University because that's where her dad says the princes and the princesses go. Her dad is, I don't know, he's obviously only in this movie for a very short period of time. Spoiler alert coming up. But he's like very into the whole fairy tale thing, reading her stories. But he's also telling her, like, make sure you have morals, make sure you have goals. So in addition to, you know, chasing fairy tales and romance and whatever, princes, etc., his signature quote is, "Don't let the fear of striking out keep you from playing the game."
Oh, poetry.
So deep. So deep.
Original.
It was really weird. It was like part of this longer quote that was like, you know, make sure that you still like go after your dreams and do this and that. And then he's like, and don't let the fear of striking out keep. He didn't even say that. He was like, it's like I say, and then said that quote, and it had nothing to do with what he was saying. Like, what?
She wasn't afraid of something.
Which I guess is her character arc, because obviously they're laying out, right, everything. That's the theme. They just spoke the theme of the story and said her weakness is that she's too afraid to speak up for what she wants, and then in the end she does, and all of her dreams come true. Okay, but then as I mentioned, this is not a fairy tale. Okay, Sarah, this is not a fairy tale.
Not a fairy tale.
Because 5 minutes in, a natural disaster strikes. Okay, and they based it off of a real one. Why? I don't know. I don't know. She's like, then the Northridge earthquake hit. And I was like, that's really specific. You could have just been like, the house is shaking and like we all assume that there's an earthquake, right? We can use our brains and put this together.
It's the one that real people died in.
Yes. So I looked it up, and yeah, the Northridge earthquake happened on January 17th, 1994. It was a big earthquake, a 6.7 magnitude. It lasted about 8 seconds. It was their largest earthquake since 1971. I don't know that there's been one since this. I don't think so.
I don't think so. The internet, people who lived in California, we should maybe know.
Yeah. But there wasn't a major one when I lived in California or when you did, but
no.
Yeah, 57 people died.
Oh.
So anyway, okay, so back to the story. One of those people was Sam's dad. We don't know how, why. Basically, he abandons her. She's like, "Daddy, don't leave me," during the earthquake, and he hears Fiona yelling for him, and he's like, "I'll be right back." Now, as someone who watches a lot of horror movies, should you ever say, "I'll be right back"?
You should not.
No.
You absolutely should not.
He perished in the earthquake that apparently didn't affect their home at all, because immediately after, they're just like going back inside and the house looks fine. He left everything to Fiona, or Fiona inherits everything. She gets, you know, the whole house, his business, which is this lovely little diner. Anyway, we'll circle back to that. And Sam gets moved from her, you know, regular second floor bedroom up to the attic, which is way cooler. So
every kid's dream is to have an attic room.
Right. I'm in my attic room right now, and oh my gosh, this has been something I've been manifesting for a very long time.
There's a line she has later in the movie. I'm sorry, I am not as chronologically focused as you are right now, but there's a line she has later in the movie where she's like, "And Austin is blah, 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 and I'm just some girl who lives in an attic."
Yeah, like, is that supposed to mean something to me? Like, in terms of societal norms? Like, if you live in an attic, you're trash.
Right?
Says who ever.
It's a dream. It's a dream room.
In her defense, though, she is entered into some sort of indentured servitude agreement with Fiona.
Yeah, that's pretty bad.
Some very illegal form of child labor is going on here. And according to Sam, Hillary Duff's character, just to clarify again in case anyone's having trouble keeping track of this story, Sam is told by Fiona, the stepmother, you know, you work and do this and that and do everything I ask, and then, you know, you can go to Princeton, I'll pay for college or whatever. Like, she has to earn her tuition. Do we think Fiona's going to pay for her college?
Something tells me probably not. It's just a guess.
Just a thought. Okay, so eventually, after the longest morning ever in history, we get to high school. Okay, so Sam and her friend Carter have driven to high school. Then we find out that Sam has been instant messaging and or emailing some mystery guy. Hey.
I love that she does this at school because the rows of computers and them instant messaging each other really reminded me of like our computer lab in high school.
Yeah.
Which I'm going to go ahead and just volunteer that in honor of this episode, we should upload a picture of ourselves in that computer lab. I have one.
Oh, I was like, how?
I've got one.
AI? Okay. Is it funny?
It is.
Should I be scared?
No, it's cute.
We're going to have to put that on our Instagram, unfortunately.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah.
Yeah, that's going to have to happen. So follow us on Instagram at Comfort Culture Pod. So they're talking. They're instant messaging at school. You know, she's a top-notch student and just talking to this boy online all day long. We quickly find out she doesn't know who the boy is. He doesn't know who she is. We quickly find out it's Austin Ames. Great name. Austin Ames is the most popular boy in school. He's the football star. He's played by Chad Michael Murray. He's everything.
And he is angsty.
He's broody.
Yeah.
He's super broody. He's like a classic tortured poet. He wants to go to school to Princeton to become a poet. Seems like there's maybe... if you're that clear on your dream, I don't know. There just seems like maybe there's a smoother way to get there. He has major daddy issues because daddy is like, you're going to USC. I feel very passionate about you going to USC. Your future is set. I don't want to hear it.
What?
So every parent is like, oh, Princeton, boo.
What a privileged problem to have also. Like, his dad gets him into USC also, which also kind of the dream, but not when you're Austin Ames.
No, he doesn't want his whole life set out in front of him for him, Sarah. He wants to choose for himself. Sheesh. All right.
What did that critic say about the plot?
So they're talking a lot, but for some reason they are choosing not to ever exchange names or like any other details about themselves. They just both know that they want to go to Princeton, okay? And they've just accepted, like, have we met? Have we not met? Like, it's such a big school. Like, rather than just being like, this is my name, let's find out.
To meet up on the other side of the fountain.
Honestly, like, we have the technology. And I get the, like, I'm not trying to say, like, they were trying to catfish each other, but, like, that idea of, like, the fantasy of it, right? And then when you meet...
Yeah.
There's expectations, you don't know, maybe the fantasy's over. So I get kind of the like wanting, I don't know, to develop and just have an online relationship, especially as someone who was like very shy and did not talk to people in real life. Yeah. I feel like I would have avoided the talking in person, but I'm pretty sure I would have said my name.
She was very afraid that he was not going to like her because she lived in an attic, Ashley. It all comes back to the attic.
It's all about the attic. They should have called her Attic Girl instead of Diner Girl.
Oh, no.
Well, despite everything that we're saying, they come to the point in their conversation where they're like, you know what, we should meet. Or at least Austin is. I do want to say also, though, I obviously spent a lot of time dissecting this movie. Their conversation... He is talking about his feelings. He's asking questions. He's being engaging. And she is giving nothing. Like the fact that he fell in love with her from these messages, literally just being like, LOL. That's her whole message. LOL.
Oh my gosh. Also, I am just so thankful that the world has evolved how they show people texting in movies and TV shows now. Like, this was brutal where you're like watching them literally T9 texting on flip phones, like watching them click through the letter.
At least LOL didn't take very long, but yes, we watched her. We watched her type in all caps LOL. I don't remember what she was LOLing, but yeah, she was not giving a lot. But he's like, I want to meet you, okay? I want to take this fantasy into reality. We're still not going to, give each other any details, any descriptors that would help us find each other. We're just going to meet in the center of the dance floor, okay? Right where everyone else is. We're just going to meet there. It's perfect. So Sam's like, all right, she's nervous. She's going to go to the dance. She's worried about what he's going to think because she's diner girl / attic girl. And she doesn't know who he is, but, she's hoping they have this great online connection. But of course, Fiona, the stepmother, is like, you're not going to the dance. You're working. Because
evil stepmother.
Period. Because period. That's why. All right, so Sam just loves to comply to all of Fiona's wishes because, she feels like if she doesn't, then she won't be able to go to Princeton. So she's working at the diner and the popular kids come in to, like pregame with water or whatever you do in a PG movie. And they're bullying Sam because she's diner girl. Austin Ames is there, okay, with his girlfriend. Okay, his girlfriend. As someone who has been emotionally cheated on, not cool, okay?
Yeah. No. Austin, we get they tried to make her into the villain here, but she was wronged first. Yeah. You
just don't cheat.
Yeah.
Just say it again. It's pretty easy.
There were plenty of reasons to have left her before.
Yeah. So he breaks up with her. Woohoo. Okay, so he's finally going to meet his dream mystery girl. So he breaks up with her. She doesn't take it well, obviously. And it's just kind of like, anyway, moving on. We'll pretend that didn't happen. And she's like, is there someone else? So he's like, yeah, I think so. Of course, he's broody. So they all head off to the dance. And, little does he know, Sam is right there. She's always right there. They meet so many times.
They really do.
Movie. They come face to face so many times. Okay, so then the bestie comes in, Carter. I love Carter. He comes in, he's dressed as Zorro. Because apparently the homecoming dance is also a Halloween / costume dance.
Yeah, they really don't dive into that, the reasons behind that, and they just go
fine
for
with
it.
I love it. Yeah. I love it. It's weird. It makes no sense. I'm here for it. Okay, so he comes in all dressed up and he's like, Sam, you have to go to the dance, blah, 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 blah. You're going to meet so-and-so. And so then Rhonda, who is the fill-in for the fairy godmother, she works at the diner and she's always, looking out for Sam. She's got Sam's back and she convinces her to go just by being like, you should go.
Just because she's phenomenal. Second only to Jennifer Coolidge in this movie, but Regina King really killed it. Love her. Yes.
She gave a great performance. And so Sam is like, fine, I'll go. And then she's like, oh, I can't go. I can't go. And they're like, why? You have to. And she's like, I don't have a costume.
Wait. The acting you're doing right now is, no offense, better than Hillary Duff's in the movie. Low bar, but it is significantly better.
Oh, well, I've been practicing all day. So Rhonda is like, you know what? There's a solution to this. We'll go to the costume store. She tries on the most atrocious costumes, like the most random. Like, you're going to meet the possible love of your life or someone who you think you're in love with or just your Prince Charming, whatever. The costume she was trying on, we're like, what? In what world?
Like a knight in armor. That was a great one.
Very very weird. Yeah. There was like a Porky Pig situation going on, like a full mascot level costume, 3-dimensional. That would have actually been amazing if she showed up in that in the center of the dance floor.
It would have hid her identity better.
That would have if she was dressed up like a mascot with a literal mask on.
Yeah,
that would have maybe made a few more things make sense. But after all this, she's trying on all these costumes, and then they're about to give up, and Rhonda sees this little lacy eye mask. And she's like, let me see that. You know, you can see the little twinkle in her eye, the light bulb's going off. And the costume store owner is like, oh, yeah, that's nice. But like, I don't have an outfit for it. She's like, you know what? But I do. So, so she legit gives Sam her wedding dress.
Which, this is a good moment to mention that Rhonda does not get enough backstory.
No. So her and Carter arrive at the dance, and Carter programs an alarm into her flip phone so that she makes sure she gets back to the diner before Fiona comes and finds out that she left.
The
Because
flip
she can't do that.
phone that she is storing by things that you can only do with a flip phone by flipping it over one of the straps of her strappy heels.
Yeah, that is an iconic moment.
Bejeweled flip phone.
Yes.
There's just everything
yes.
about that.
Layers. There are layers to how 90s that moment was, and reckless. How reckless that was.
Yes.
So Carter's like going down the stairs because, of course, this is a beautiful staircase to the high school dance floor.
Which it was a prerequisite for every high school rom-com. There must be a grand staircase entrance.
With a grand entrance, right? So
yes.
Carter's like, what is everyone looking at, Sam? And then he turns around and he's like, oh. And Sam is just like in her full glory. It's kind of like the moment in Harry Potter when Hermione like puts makeup on for the first time and wears a dress and comes down the stairs, right? Because like, what else are we gonna do?
Yes.
This might be a good time to mention, because I don't know if we'll talk about Harry Potter again, that when I read the books, I said her name Hermione. Did you know that?
No.
Oh, Hermione.
It's phenomenal. Hermione.
Yeah.
Great.
Anyway.
Hermione.
Okay, so Sam is looking fly. She's got the full princess look, head to toe. She's got the white eye mask on. She's got the enormous poofy ball gown. She's got her hair done. She's looking good. I want to know how many of you out there requested Hillary Duff's hair for your prom. Brought that little picture that you printed off on your downstairs family computer.
We will include this as a poll that you can respond to. We want to know.
Okay, so Sam's looking great. Everyone is staring, including Austin Ames. He's dressed up as Prince Charming. He was supposed to do the Three Musketeers with his friends. He said, no, I'm going to be Prince. He didn't actually tell them. He just showed up as Prince Charming. Also,
not a nice move.
No, but like Austin's friends are trash.
They're so bad.
So bad. Like zero redeeming qualities, I think, pretty much. One of them is definitely a lot worse. I don't even know their names.
The one who's not the worst one just like doesn't really have any lines.
Yeah, he's just there. And they look pretty similar.
They do.
It's weird.
Yeah.
Okay, so she goes to the middle of the dance floor as instructed. And this character that we haven't talked about yet, his name is Terry. And he's fantastic. He has a crush on Sam. And, you know, it's just like a known thing. And he comes up to her and he's like, do you know that you're standing in the exact center of the dance floor? And she turns around and sees that it's Terry. And she's like, Terry, are you Nomad? Which is Austin Ames' screen name. I don't know why. Hers is Princeton Girl, whatever. And he's like, sure, something. And then he starts dancing. He's dressed up like a Matrix character. And he's just doing his fun little thing. But then Austin Ames comes over and he is like, Princeton Girl. Or something. I don't know what's up with me. Like the voices are just like coming out of me. I'm scared.
I'm not. I'm loving it.
I'm so scared. Okay. So Terry runs off. And so this is the start of so Austin and Sam first meeting, and she sees him and knows who he is. And so she's like, this is a mistake because the popular kids have been bullying her for years. So she's like, obviously he's going to recognize me and be like, he wasn't ever shown directly bullying her, but also not ever shown defending her or
like
doing anything else.
Still not very forgivable. He was right there.
Right. He just was, probably sitting there just like thinking of poetry in his head while she's just bullied. And he's like, what's going on here? Just ignoring his friends because they suck. But he's like, no, wait, like, give me a chance. And she's like, all right, fine. I will. So they play like some kind of bizarro version of 20 questions. And instead of again asking like, what's your name? He asked her if she would rather have like a salad or a Big Mac or something like that. And she's
yes,
like,
she's a cool girl.
A Big Mac, but why? And he's like, because that eliminates, like half the girls at this school. So let's take a moment to discuss. Do we think Sam Montgomery is a pick-me girl?
That is an intriguing question.
Yeah.
No, because I genuinely do not think that she does those things for attention.
Yeah. You answered correctly.
Okay, thank
I'd
you.
already thought about this.
There was a right answer.
Apparently. I mean, to me, she has all of the ingredients, but a different motive. She's got the like, I dress different and I act different. I'm into sports and I eat cheeseburgers, but still I'm, naturally trim and can show my midriff with my super low rise jeans. Ugh.
Yeah. I mean,
to the jeans, not to her.
A few episodes ago, we talked about how bagels were often portrayed as like the evil food in like fashion or anytime when girls were trying to be skinny. So like you had people like not eating, and then you had the people who ate, but they still had to be impossibly thin.
Yeah.
While being like the outlier that ate cheeseburgers.
This movie has it because all of the movies from this time have it. That expectation and the fat phobic commentary and the jokes about eating disorders is in here. This is a PG movie. I almost said PG-13. No, PG. Okay. We had this stuff we were bombarded with it constantly.
Yes.
It's awful. And this is a perfect example, right? Where you have to look a certain way to be considered conventionally attractive in Hollywood and, society at large is what we were told. But you also have to be effortless, right? So you have to want to eat the cheeseburgers. You absolutely cannot have an eating disorder because then you'll be made fun of for wanting to be what everyone else is telling you to be, right? And so you have to eat these things and be cool and be chill, but also look a certain way. And if you don't look a certain way, then you're going to be the butt of the joke.
Yeah. I just keep going back to the scene in the diner where they're all making fun of her because she's diner girl. And Austin's girlfriend is like, what can I get with no carbs and no calories and no blah, blah, blah. And she like scoffs at her and she's like, water. And we're supposed to think that's so clever. And on the other hand, there's this high school girl who is gorgeous who thinks that she has to diet. Like that is so sad.
And then also all of the girls watching that being like, well, if I want to look like her, which like, of course I do. And then you get confused, right? Because then you're like, but Hillary Duff eats Big Macs. Like, what do I do?
Yeah.
What do I do? It's just like, this is something that we're just going to talk about again and again because it was so pervasive and so damaging to people, like including me. Like it had a negative impact on me. And I think so many other girls who grew up in that time, and it's not like it's gone by any means. But I think at least there's other discussion. I never remember seeing discussion to the contrary of these beliefs.
I never remember seeing this stuff called out.
Right.
At all.
Right.
Yeah.
So now we're in the land of the internet and information overload, and we're just like, good, bad, boo, boo, blah, 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 constantly. Anxiety.
Who knows what's good?
Nothing's good. It's all shit, as my friend John would say.
That's right. That feels right.
It's all shit, man. Anyway, okay, where were we? Okay, so she eats Big Macs. He doesn't know what her name is. Eventually they dance. It's pretty funny. Just a band comes out of nowhere and they're just dancing in a gazebo and no one else is out there in this beautiful gazebo because, like, of course, why would anyone else be out enjoying that? So they have this moment and it's like almost looks like they're going to kiss. And then Austin's like, I'm going to, take your mask off. He doesn't say that, but he's like, literally, he just puts his fingers here, and so if he's gonna take it off and reveal that she does in fact have skin around her eyes, Sarah. So we're gonna find out. It's the tedious mask. Okay, so right as he's about to lift it off, that her anklet. I was just gonna say, what is that when you're on house arrest?
Ankle monitor.
Her ankle monitor goes off. Okay, so this is the proverbial pumpkin. It's time to go. She's got to go.
Mm-hmm.
She cannot tell him her name or take off her mask. She's got to go now. Okay.
Yeah.
They set this alarm for a reason. So Sam and Carter, her bestie, they race Fiona and the twins back home in this kind of comical car chase scene. But do you remember this being in a presentation for driver's ed in high school?
I don't. I have absolutely no recollection of that.
So I probably remember it because this movie clearly had an impact on me, and you were just like, Hillary who?
Which, like, this very much feels like it would have been a movie I loved. I'm a little surprised at our dynamic here.
Yeah, this does feel very backwards, but
yeah,
we're learning stuff about each other every time we do a podcast, which is funny because we've been friends forever.
Yeah,
but I remember this. So it was one of those awful, like, we were in our auditorium. You remember our big auditorium?
Yeah,
it was like a movie theater basically, and so they had the screen out, and some guy was giving a presentation, and it had horrific imagery. And then they were showing, here's what not to do. And they were showing clips of a Cinderella story, and Hillary Duff yelling at Carter. Well, Sam, sorry, we'll stay in character. Sam yelling at Carter, being like, yellow means go, not stop, or like speed up but not stop. And he's like, her talking about the speed limit. It's just like this, very pretty benign stuff. Okay. But I don't know if they were like trying to relate to us, being like, we're cool, we're showing you a Cinderella story. But nobody thought a Cinderella story was cool, except for me, in secret, in the privacy of my own home.
You may have even realized it wasn't cool. It's just
I
enjoyed
knew
it.
Yeah. I didn't tell anyone that I liked it. Right. Yeah, it was misguided.
Yeah,
you would never admit to liking a PG rom-com.
No,
in high school.
That was not cool.
No. Well, I admit it now. Yes. Okay. I'm here. Here we are.
It's important stuff.
Okay. So Sam makes it back to the diner just in time. Okay. Disaster's averted. Fiona has no idea that she went to the dance. She goes to school the next day, and she's assuming Austin would have, just moved on and forgotten about the whole thing. Like, why? Why, Sam? In what world? Would he just be like, right? Curiosity, nah, I don't need to know. Things went well. Over it. Okay, he's not over it. He has been canvassing the entire school looking for his Cinderella. He doesn't know who she is. All of his friends know who Sam is. They call her Diner Girl. His ex-girlfriend Shelby insulted her coming down, when she was coming down for her big reveal moment at the dance, being like, love the dress, hate her. Do you remember that?
Iconic line.
So good.
Truly iconic line.
Knows who Cinderella is. According to that line, I mean, I guess you could interpret that she just, hates this person for
Mystery
looking
girl.
good.
Yeah.
But it seems like pretty personal. Anywho, he doesn't know who Cinderella is. He wants to find out. Things are starting to heat up. We're getting a little act 3 here. We're kind of like getting into it. Okay. So Sam's too afraid to tell Austin who she is. Sarah, this is the theme. She's too afraid to say what she wants. Are you getting it now?
Is that the fear of striking out?
She's afraid of striking out with Austin, who's obsessed with her and has only just not seen this part of skin underneath her eyebrow.
He also doesn't know that she lives in an attic.
Oh, that's true. That's going to be a really tough blow.
That's what the mask was really hiding.
Yeah, it's a metaphor. Okay, so the stepsisters find the emails between her and Austin, find out that Sam is Cinderella, and so they, the other things go on, but then they basically come up with this plan to humiliate Sam in front of the entire school at the pep rally. So they devise a skit, like, good for you guys. Seems like they put in more effort into this skit than anything ever in their lives. So they're working with Shelby, Austin's ex, who's totally ready to, you know, she wants Austin back. She doesn't want anyone else to have him, whatever. They don't even really get into that. She's just like, yeah, I'll humiliate her.
I was just about to say, like, they really did not establish a good reason for the skit.
No. It was a lot. Okay, so they do this whole skit basically just to be like at the end, like, so Austin, your Cinderella is, I'm gonna read the quote, a loser, a servant girl, diner girl, Sam Montgomery. Okay, there was more in there. I think she was really getting into it. The principal of the school is just like chilling, sitting there.
Nobody did anything.
Well, Sam is raked across the coals here. Okay, she runs away crying. Austin's like, oh, it's the girl I've been talking to. Literally, like, and seeing at the diner, and, you know, my friends making fun of her. Oh, it's her. It's diner girl. Yep. Okay, so then she gets home. She's obviously very upset from her public humiliation / kind of rejection from Austin. Just he was indifferent, like, as usual. And then Fiona delivers her this forged rejection letter because she had actually received an acceptance letter from Princeton, but Fiona's like, no, like, that's not happening. Okay, so she gives her like a plate of cookies and there's a rejection letter, and it's, you know, like basically like pats her head and then it's just like, you always have a job with me. Okay. So then in like a really wild twist, Sam goes to work at the diner. Like, what? Okay, so you worked at the diner for Fiona for your whole life to get into Princeton so that's paid for, and then you don't get into Princeton. You're like, you know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna get back to work.
Right.
Okay.
Go find another job, lady. Move out.
Honestly, she's wallowing, and Rhonda's like, listen, there's people here that love you. So something about like, oh, it's a little toxic positivity vibe. You know, like, she, all things considered, has had a very bad day. She's dreamed of going to Princeton her whole life and gets rejected, and then gets rejected from this guy she's been spooning over for a long time. Okay, so she's having a tough time, but Rhonda's basically just like, people here love you, and, you know, get over it.
Rhonda's the best.
Yeah, I mean, she was right. So then Fiona's storming in, as she does, or she's storming in or storming out or something. Someone slams the door and a click clock falls off the wall. It rips off the wallpaper and it reveals the quote.
The quote.
What is the quote? Let me see if I can remember it. Pause.
We can do it together. 1, 2, 3. Never let the future do it.
We have totally different cadence. I don't know why we thought that would work. Never let the fear of striking out you finish it.
Keep you from playing the game.
Okay. I want everyone to go home with this message. And Sam is like, oh my gosh, I have courage now. I have courage. Okay? I've got it. I know what to do. So, with her newfound courage and inspiration, she goes into... Okay, wait, first. She quits. All right, I'm getting ahead of myself. I got excited. She quits her job, says she's moving out. Rhonda and the rest of the staff quit, and everyone else leaves because they only like Rhonda and Sam, right? All the customers are like, screw Fiona, she sucks. And Sam's like, okay, this is awesome, right? So I just did all this. She's like flying high. And then her next move is to burst into the boys' locker room. Okay. Why is this a trope?
So inappropriate. It's truly a space I never entered in high school. Like, not once.
Okay. The girls' locker room smelled so bad, I cannot imagine what the boys' locker room smelled like.
No, thank you.
No. Okay. Anyway, she's in there. She's wearing like arguably her like sexiest outfit of the movie, right? She's in baggy cargo pants, a crew neck with a choker.
She's
always
a cool
a choker.
Girl.
Sometimes a hat. Yeah, she's a cool girl. She's not like other girls, in case you didn't notice. She's wearing like, in this scene, she's wearing like a lacy tank top and this like very form-fitted, I don't know, zip-up jacket or something, and probably some low-rise flares. I'm just making that up, but I'm pretty confident.
Statistically speaking, you're probably right.
Yeah, I'm like fairly confident that that's correct. Okay, so she's confronting Austin in the locker room. Okay, he's fully clothed because we're PG here. Okay, and she, basically she got dragged through the coals before, so now she's like, it's your turn, Austin, and like gives him this whole spiel about how like, you know, he didn't do this and he didn't do that. And then there's the quote, waiting for you is like waiting for rain in this drought.
No.
Because we've established earlier in the film that there's a drought.
Oh, it's like to California also.
There's always a drought.
Oh my gosh, that line.
Ugh. So she's like, whatever, I'm over it, okay? I don't need you. And then Carter shows up, sweet little friend that he is, and Sam's like, what are you doing here? Because the football game is about to go on, the homecoming game. And Carter just says something sweet, like she thought she could use a friend. So he just showed up.
Great.
He talked to Rhonda, and he's like, he knew what she was doing, that she's going to confront him, and he thought she could use a friend.
Yeah.
And so then they're like, should we go to the game? Should we? Should we? And like, so somehow, I guess they're like not sports people. Like, this felt like me and you, where we're like, I don't know, like,
should we?
Do you have another idea? And we're like, all right, why not? So we're at the football game. Go Fighting Frogs! Woo! Okay, so game's close. Okay, so Austin's dad is going up to him, and he's like, everyone's counting on you, man. Like, don't fuck it up. Basically, like, no pressure, but your entire future is riding on this game. Okay, so just like, no big deal, but
no
don't
pressure.
mess it up. Okay, so the game goes on. Obviously, Sam is like having a hard time. She's going through it, and the game gets down to the wire. It's very close. There's 9 seconds left. And they start cheering Austin's name. Austin. And Sam is just like, I can't anymore. I'm done. She doesn't say that. But she's just tells Carter she's leaving. Of course, Austin's not busy or anything. The quarterback of this very close game that's determining his entire future. So he sees her leaving, and he has this epiphany. He's like, I have to abandon my team and the game to go get the girl, because in 9 seconds, I guess it's metaphorical, right? He's taking a stand. This isn't the future he wants. He doesn't care about football. Luckily, the person who subs in for him is able to complete the play. It's not important, right? It's romantic, okay? He ditches his teammates for the girl. I obviously don't support it.
No.
Could have waited 9 seconds. Yeah. But anyway, he catches up to Sam, and I don't even know what they say. It doesn't matter.
No.
They kiss. It's her first real kiss, because part of her shaming, her bullying during the the skit.
Mm-hmm.
They were like saying how something like reading her messages, which is so invasive, being like, I've never had a real kiss before. And of course, as they're kissing, a drop of rain falls and hits Austin on the cheek. Bing. Because the drought's over. Okay, so she's packing up her stuff, because she's moving out of Fiona's house, and she finds the dad's hidden will inside a fairy tale book that earlier she had tossed across the room in a rage. Okay, so it turns out he had a will, and Fiona's like, I knew nothing about the secret will. So obviously she knew about it, but he never like brought it to a lawyer or anything. I don't know. Seems sketch. Okay, to just like hide it in a book and hope for the best.
Very much.
Yeah. Anywho, so it turns out that Sam gets everything. So she restores the diner to its like boring former glory. Rhonda's.
Listen, I get it. It was like the hometown diner, but Fiona's diner was so cute.
So much more fun.
I would go to that pink frilly diner. Okay. I loved it.
Yes. I wrote in a separate section to talk about the Fionification of everything, and how it's supposed to make us feel like, oh, she's making everything tacky and over the top, but it's amazing. Everything went from like drab to fab. God, stop. To myself.
Never stop.
Oh, okay. So Rhonda's the new manager of the diner. Fiona and the twins are now basically indentured servants because, like, why not keep that trend going? So they're paying off their, debt to society or something, Sam says. Carter gets a little happy ending. So he goes from having, like, perfect skin the whole movie to then getting severe acne and then curing. This is all, like, in the, like, basically footnotes of the movie. Then he uses some medication and cures his acne and then does a commercial for the medication. And is, in a commercial on TV. So Shelby, the popular girl who rejected him earlier in the movie, now wants him, and he rejects her for, like, the cool, like, alt radio girl. Yay. I almost said Austin. Yay, Carter. Okay. And so then Austin gets into Princeton, and his dad just, like, does an abrupt 180.
Yeah.
Based
on nothing.
Yeah. After he, like, almost, like, destroys, like, that game for his team. Yeah. And then says, like, I'm not going to go to USC. I'm not going to play football.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to go to Princeton. And he's just like, it's fine now. I'm a big Princeton guy. That's cool. I love it. I love Princeton.
So inappropriate.
Totally realistic. Okay. Yeah. So then Sam and Austin, they're together and they're driving off down Highway 1, which, is a straight shot from Highway 1. And LA right off to New Jersey.
Thank you.
Yeah, straight shot. Straight shot. So
Not
everything's good. That. And you already told us the ending, like an hour ago. So, she's living the dream. She's not committing to a man because it's not about that, Sarah.
And because he's trash.
Yeah.
Like, he really does nothing to be worthy of her affections besides the fact that he also wants to go to Princeton.
Yeah. At the same time, you had a few high school relationships. Mm-hmm. Were you getting a lot from your
No, that's a very
boyfriends?
Good point. It's a really solid point you bring up.
Realistic thing about the entire movie.
True.
Right?
You're like, you're very good looking and you talk to me.
Yes.
Sounds good.
Yes. Like, out loud in person.
Yeah.
You say words on occasion.
Yeah.
And, like, sometimes hold my hand. I love you.
Yeah. Okay. Great. You have brought me back down to reality here.
There is no, like, this movie is so absurd.
It's
so absurd. The, like, him not recognizing her thing, just every time you watch it gets a little bit worse.
Yeah, I agree.
It kills you slowly.
Yep.
So this is our first rundown of an entire movie. So we came up with some ideas in terms of, like, how to organize our rambles, which we've obviously done excellent so far. So the next segment that we are going to do is our cozy/comfort rating and discussion. At some point, I thought it was a good idea to, instead of doing stars, to do something else, because I listened to some horror movie podcast where they used pumpkins. And so they would say, like, 3.5 out of 5 pumpkins. So I thought for my cozy comfort rating, it would be teacups.
Because there's nothing cozier.
Teacups. I don't drink tea, really.
I drink enough tea for the both of us.
Teacups.
You recognize that a teacup is cute.
All right. So my rating was 3 out of 5 teacups for cozy factor. Basically, I like California. I've lived there. LA isn't scream cozy for me.
No.
I like LA for other things, not for coziness necessarily. I loved Sam's house. I learned through my research, because obviously I researched for this episode somehow. I linked like 4 articles. It's unbelievable. So it's a real house. It's in Altadena, California, which is like a greater LA.
Yeah.
I loved her attic room. And then I mentioned a few minutes ago the Fionification of the house, the diner, and herself.
Absolutely.
Right? I find her very cozy. I love that everything just became pink. This like beautiful like Miami pastel pink. I love it.
She's very sure of herself also.
Yeah.
She had a vision.
Yes. She had a brand. Like everything was very on brand. It was very Fiona. And then for the characters, Hillary Duff is like quintessential early 2000s. I would say even late 90s, early 2000s. I mean, but cozy, I mean, Fiona, good villain, cozy.
Yeah.
Chad Michael Murray, cute. You know.
Yeah.
One character I did find kind of cozy was Mrs. Wells, the principal, despite kind
Yeah.
of throwing her under the bus for allowing a student to get publicly bullied in a very creative and elaborate way. I really like the actress who played her. She was played by Lynn Shay, which I did not know, obviously, growing up, because I didn't know who Lynn Shay was.
I don't know who that is now.
Okay, so she's in a lot of horror movies. Yeah, and just a lot of movies. I wrote it
Okay.
down somewhere. I don't know where it is in the notes now, but she's been in like hundreds of movies. But she's in like the Insidious movies. She was in Nightmare on Elm Street. She's in the Ouija movies. Like she's just like kind of just pops up a lot in horror movies. She's just a great actress, and she was cute and cozy and like wore butterfly clips at one point in this movie.
I love that. There's nothing more 2000s than butterfly clips.
Totally. So then I wrote that Carter. I loved Carter. I did not love Carter in high school, and now I'm like totally team Carter. I think he was a great character. So there's talk, because there's always talk about anything that's like popular and nostalgic about doing like a reboot or a sequel, and I would love to see just like Carter's story, like his journey.
Oh, yeah.
He goes off to Juilliard. It's like, where else is an aspiring actor gonna go?
Yes.
But now, I mean, it's too late for that now because he's like our age. But he went to Juilliard, and I don't know, maybe he like comes out as bi and is like just dating like everyone in the dance program, and I don't know how the story ends, but I'll go back to you. I just want like a queer Carter romance sequel.
Let's do it.
That would be fun.
Let's make it. That's what Comfort Culture is here to do.
Now we're like a fan fiction podcast.
Exactly.
I just want to know more I want more Carter.
Yeah, that's fair.
What it comes down to. And, and then we get to plot, which for this movie, I mean, obviously I just spent a lot of time talking about it, but it's very like magical thinking. Everything's going to work out. It's a fairy tale, and like not fairy tale in the fun, like you said, like ghost goblins and, creatures, kind of grim fairy tales. It's like everything works out. So,
yeah.
You haven't called it boring yet, which feels like
I was not bored.
Yeah.
Was not bored.
So the plot's boring, like on paper, but it's like executed in an entertaining way. It's very silly.
And Jennifer Coolidge, I will never be bored by anything she's in.
Yeah. Yeah, she's great. Mm-hmm. She's great. I didn't fully appreciate her back then, but she's the whole movie for me now.
Yeah.
Well, how many teacups would you rate this movie?
I'm gonna give it a 2.5 for cozy. The attic room is like every kid's dream. Like, she didn't make it cozy. Like, it could have been cozier. And the diner is super cute, but I don't know that it feels cozy to me. Like, I don't know that I feel a lot of cozy elements. I think it's not super cozy for me. And this one is not as nostalgic for me either. Like, I don't have memories with this movie growing up, so cozy is not it. Cozy is not how I feel.
I did do a separate section too about the nostalgic ratings. I feel like those are a little bit different.
Yeah.
But now that you said that, the nostalgia is almost like, so we've talked about this movie as like a time capsule for the early 2000s and the time period that we went into high school. So in that way, watching it is like stepping back into that time period and like into portions of like our high school experience, although like far less interesting and flashy. But there also is that nostalgia that we've talked about, like that attachment, that like emotional attachment to the film itself, where when you have memories of when you watched it and what you felt while watching it, and that kind of thing, who you watched it with. I feel like that things become very nostalgic when you have a memory like with a person that's like warm and fuzzy.
That totally changes it. I am actually afraid of some of the things that we'll watch throughout this. I'm like afraid I won't feel the same way I used to feel about things.
Yeah.
And I'm going to power through. We're going to try it. But I'm like a little afraid they won't feel that way.
Almost. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Isn't that what being adult is?
Everything gets ruined.
Slowly but surely, we
Everything is
dismantle.
terrible.
Everything's a problem. It's all shit, man. Said it once. I'll say it again. All right. So my nostalgia factor, I don't know how long this will last or if we will continue to rate things, but I decided on Furbies for this one.
It's perfect.
I love a Furby. So I gave it 5 out of 5. I mean, it's just there's too many references, too many things that just like remind me of the time. But I'm saying that in terms of, I guess, the retro 90s 2000s energy more so than like my emotional attachment. For that, it's I mean, I don't think I can convince anyone that this movie didn't have an impact on. I'm like also scared of myself a little bit where I'm like, I sound well versed in a Cinderella story.
I think you are.
Oh God,
you are. And
the things that my brain like think are important to hang on to is startling sometimes.
I know that feeling.
So we've talked about the 90s 2000s nostalgia. So like there's AIM, there's like instant messaging. They don't really call it that in this, but for some reason when Sam and Austin are typing, they're typing in like 2 different fonts, and Sam's font I recognized immediately as Comic Sans.
Oh no.
Yeah.
You're right.
Yeah.
Oof.
Yeah. So I mean that was fun. The fashion, I don't miss any of it. Like, but it's just like all over everywhere. Like the low cut jeans are just
the worst part
point,
of all of that.
Totally. Yeah. At one point, Austin's wearing a Nike sweatband, just like at work at the car wash. You remember how just people would just wear sweatbands?
Yeah.
Not when working out.
Yeah.
That was a thing. That was a
weird
big
time.
Thing. There's always stuff like that though. You know, like just where we all like did it, or it was just a thing, a trend. And
trends are bizarre.
So bizarre. Yeah. So bizarre to me. I've never been like a person who was like invested enough in being cool to follow trends. I was aware of them and would definitely follow some. Like I had a Live Strong bracelet. Okay.
Oh, that was a trend.
Years. I wore that for years.
Wow.
Longer than most, I think. You know, there are those of us that moved on, and then those of us that wore it till it like disintegrated and snapped off.
They always did eventually.
The last thing that I have to confess, because that's what we're doing today, apparently, just airing out
one long confession,
airing out all of my childhood shame, is that I am, and to this day, am pretty. I don't want to say obsessed. That sounds like weird, but I'm like really into diners. I love diners.
Me too.
Yeah, and I think this movie is part of why.
Okay.
Yeah,
I could see it.
I just I wanted to be a diner girl. I wanted to own a diner. I didn't know how to cook. I didn't know how to waitress. I didn't know how to do any of it. No one in my family owned a diner. I was ready. I was ready to be diner girl. I always have, like, since a young age, but I also love retro things. I've always loved retro things, even before I've had a reason to. Like, one of those where you just can't explain it. I'm just drawn to 1950s aesthetic and always, and diners are like time capsules for that kind of like stage of Americana. And I also am obsessed with breakfast. We've talked about that on multiple occasions.
That I did know. That I know.
I'm comfortable saying about breakfast.
Well, this was truly a delightful walk down 2000s lane, early 2000s lane.
Yeah, this was a good movie.
Was it?
In conclusion, 11% out of 100% stars.
11% Rotten Tomatoes. That's not fair. That it for the type of movie this is supposed to be. It hits the nail on the head.
Totally.
Yeah.
I agree with the audience score, like 53%. Like, do we think that this is winning any awards or teaching us any deep lessons or really taking, us on a journey that we need to go on?
None of those things.
It's not necessarily cozy, but it is comforting and it has that familiarity and it's fun. It's a fun movie. You texted me saying that I was passionate about uh, not in so many words, but I think I texted you back
may
like,
have
oof,
said those words.
oof. I guess that's one way to describe it. It's part of my my lore, that's definitely in there.
Yeah.
As part of the movies that shaped me into this strange adult.
And Hillary Duff and Chad Michael Murray are absolutely part of my lore. So
totally.
yeah.
All right. Well, that's comfort culture. Thanks for
See you
listening
next week.
again.
No idea what we're talking about.
Yeah, we truly don't. I know that when this episode comes out, I will be in Texas visiting you, which is awesome. So I'll be in Texas. That'll be super fun. We're trying to cook up like something interesting to record in person, and also like to see if we have like the technology and capability to record in person.
We have a slightly important message for those of you who managed to stick with us until the end. If you really like the podcast, we do have a couple of things to ask of you all.
Yeah, so rate and review the podcast, 5 stars preferably. I said that before. I'm like, no. If you have something not nice to say, just like keep it to yourself.
You can even text us about it if you really have to get it out.
Yeah. But
text us because I assume everyone listening to this knows.
That's so true. That's true. Call us on our personal cell phones and complain. I won't pick up, but you can leave a voicemail. Okay. So rate and review the podcast and subscribe wherever you're listening, because you don't want to miss out on whatever this is.
Yeah. We don't even know what's coming next week, and you certainly don't want to miss whatever that turns out to be.
Right. And a good way to keep up with that would be to follow us on our social media channels. Rate, review, subscribe, follow us on social media, say hi. We want to talk to people. We want to also get more listener involvement and get listener stories involved once we like have our stuff together enough to know what episode's coming next. We want to hear your memories and your nostalgic feelings and what makes you feel comfy and cozy.
Our social media handle is Comfort Culture Pod.
Oh, that's important. Yeah.
The
podcast discussion is over. This is Comfort Culture. I'm Ashley.
I'm Sara.
And we'll talk to you next week.
Bye. For real.